feel like I'm in the hot seat. It's like I'm on a game show of like, I don't know what. Yeah.
Is it okay if I hide this?
Of course.
Yeah.
It really does.
Look at the color. It's giving.
It looks amazing. Levitating is my happy song.
It is?
Yes.
That makes me happy.
That's my first song for dance parties.
Which one?
Levitating.
Oh.
It's a party starter.
It is. This is pretty. Clapping.
Hi, this is Marie Sherman in the New York studio.
Oh, are you calling MCR? Okay. I'm crossing.
Good, how are you? Our talent is seated. I just want to let you know that.
Can we do
we'll
that
get
side eye
started
again?
shortly.
Well, stay on. Stay on.
I'm sorry?
Sorry.
Yeah, stay on.
Sorry, love.
Sorry, kids.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think we'll do that. Yeah. Well, sorry. We'll need a second for that. Thank you.
Cute. Cutie. Cutie.
Gordy. Nothing like a CCTV. Excuse me. That's my tiny little microphone. Oh my god. Oh my god. Perhaps.
What accent can you not do?
I love the word perhaps.
Think about it. What's your one accent that you cannot do?
The accent that I can't do. I really can't do like a Brummy accent.
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Nice Dua.
Dua is crazy. Dua from Birmingham.
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 Road mate.
What were the Kawasaki? I love those.
Booba Scooba.
Booba Scoopa.
Roller coaster.
That's proper Newcastle. That
Newcastle.
Newcastle. Booba Scooby. Kawasaki. What was the other one? What were the other gateway words?
Scouse.
The Scouse ones.
Chicken and a can of Coke.
Chicken and a can of Coke.
Chicken and a can of Coke and a maxi pad.
Chicken and a can of Coke and a maxi pad. That'll get you sorted for a good night out.
Hi, this is Marie Sherman in the New York studio. Yes.
You're not. That actually looks perfect to me. That looks good to me right now. You're going to be looking at her.
Yeah,
right
can we do a
here.
sound check?
Yeah,
Whatever
say
counts
what
out.
you had for breakfast.
For breakfast, I had a banana and an apple and a coffee and a cup of tea and a green juice.
How's that? Because her hair actually is on the mic, so I just want to make sure there's no issue.
You're asking about if
Her
the
hair,
mic is.
yeah, her hair is on the mic, so I just want to make sure the audio is okay.
They said the audio is great.
Okay.
Great. Fab, fab, fab.
Yes, okay.
And the
All
interview's
right.
on in the green room.
Oh, okay, cool.
All good?
Oh, the interview's in the
It's on
green
in
room?
the
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll
Thank
get
you
out of
very
your way
much.
then. We don't need to.
All right. Bye.
Maria, I'll just text you if there's anything.
Of course.
I'm going to take a picture of you interviewing her
Okay.
for your archive.
And then we'll be alone, so this will really feel like an interrogation.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
playing the part
like,
of both good and bad cop today.
All right, you're good?
Yeah, I'm all
Okay.
set. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
thank you for having me.
I was really cracking up because I was calling the woman who was like making sure everything's working fine, and she's like, "Just tell her I really love her, okay?" And that's rare. That's
Thank
rare.
you.
Yeah, well,
That's
we're
so
here,
sweet.
Of course, we're here to talk about radical optimism,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of want to begin a little bit with a sort of existential question, if you'll allow.
Please.
I find that people have a tendency to describe second albums as a kind of now or never moment. And there's something about third albums, I think, that actually feel cathartic. You've arrived into, ideally, who you are as an artist. Maybe there's some more confidence there. And I wonder if that feels true to you with this album and how you think of it in terms of your other two as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's definitely something more cathartic that comes with the third album, at least for me, because there's so much more confidence attached to it. Things that I've learnt through the first and the second album have led me to this moment. I guess without it sounding like cliche, I had to learn from every single step. There's always a scary sophomore album, but there's almost like a bigger jump from like the first to the second on the space you can grow and how much that can change and what you want to prove and how else you want people to perceive you. And Future Nostalgia was my chance for me to be able to do a very like polished pop, dance, disco record that after having done that and having done 97 shows and toured and danced my ass off and had so much fun around the world, that this album was so much about how do I take what were my most favorite things from that whole experience and create something unique. And a lot of that was the live instrumentation, how things felt so organic, how some things felt really spontaneous and free-flowing in the moment of how they would evolve on stage. And I wanted to recreate that for Radical Optimism when I was going into the studio to make this, and also in terms of like the melodies and the sounds, it was so much more free flowing, and it didn't have a formula per se, but I always had that pop sensibility in the back of my mind, but I wanted to just experiment and try and create something new. But I think this was always kind of the album that I've always wanted to make.
You know, it's really interesting to hear you say that, because I think even in your like poppiest moments, there's a kind of experimentalism. There's like something elastic is the word that I keep using, that it feels like malleable, and maybe like sort of classic in some ways.
Yeah.
And I wonder, you know, with this album, you're referencing like Primal Scream as an influence and Massive Attack, who I think are like classic like format benders and breakers in a lot of ways. I wonder, did it feel like you had to sort of like earn that experimentalism on this album? Did you feel like you had to like prepare yourself to really kind of go there?
Yeah, I think it's something that I earned, to give myself that space to just get a little bit weirder, maybe. And I love that you use the word elastic, because I feel that way for some of the melodies or the dance breaks or the weird synths that are like free flowing through the tracks. And I feel like that maybe wouldn't have been something that I would have even dared to experiment with my second album. But it's funny because while I was making my first, I was dreaming about collaborating with Tame Impala. I had like written it down, but I said that I would do it on my third album. Why I said that, I don't know, but it was almost something deep down instinctively was telling me that it was something earned over time, that then I would be able to go in and work with a creative that I was so inspired by, and to be in a room and learn from him, and, you know, be able to also command a room in a way that I felt confident enough to stand my own ground in a room full of creatives who I admire, whether that was Kevin Parker or Danny Hall or Tobias Jesso Jr. or Caroline, who's a long-time collaborator of mine, but still has seen me grow through all the stages of my career. And so I guess I just, you know, it was the album in waiting.
That's really funny. So who are you going to collaborate on your like fifth album? who's on
Well, I don't know, but I you know, I have little like thoughts and ideas for the next one. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I always, you know, sometimes it happens where I write a song in the studio and then I'm like, you know, it doesn't really fit this world that I'm in right now, but maybe something in the future. Maybe this will lead me into where I'm going to next. Maybe that's where like my heart or my soul wants to go next. So we'll see. I still have to yet go on a tour for this one before I start thinking about my next album, but I'm always thinking ahead.
Yeah. And I'm so curious to hear about what it was like working with Kevin Parker, because again, this is something that you've been like thinking about for quite some time. Yeah. Did reality match up with expectation?
Yeah.
What did you learn from him, I guess?
It not only did it match up my expectation, it went beyond that. I think because you can admire someone, you can love their music, And then, you know, sometimes two people just don't have creative chemistry. You know, when you get in a room, that's so real and honest as well. And that doesn't mean that anything changes, but sometimes it just doesn't work. And Kevin came down to London, and he was going to stay for a week to write. And I guess for him it was different because he's so used to kind of digging in on one part for a very long time and then getting in on the writing. Whereas while he was digging in the production side of things with Danny, me, Caroline, and Tobias were already building the world, you know, lyrically. And then we were bouncing off of ideas. And I think for both of us, we were in two completely different comfort zones. And we were coming together to create something really new. And what I learned from him is to never really throw a good idea away. That even if you don't get it on the first time, if you come back to it and you keep writing and writing, you know, you'll develop it further. And that's something that I really did a lot with this album that I'd never done with my previous ones, is I never let a good idea go. So we would write something, and then maybe like a couple weeks later we'd be like, let's go back and listen to that and tweak the lyrics, and then go back to it again and maybe change a melody and go back to it until we really felt like it was perfect. And that was how we kind of solidified the term that we were a band, because that's how it felt. I feel like, at least in my head, because I'd never like really been part of a band. I have my band who I tour with, but never in a room to like work with a band. It felt to me like bands have this luxury of taking their time on a record and just like honing in different parts that, for me, I would go into the studio, and because I would write with so many different people all the time, whatever I wrote that day was what would end up, with maybe some minor tweaks, it would be what would end up on the album. And I wouldn't have the luxury of just spending a lot of time with just the same people, and that's what I did this time around, which was really special. And so I think the idea of like patience and allowing the songs to just breathe and live and become their own thing, that was really, really special. And yeah, on the first week that we worked together as a band, and our band being me, Kevin, Danny, Tobias, and Caroline, first day we wrote Illusion. The second day we wrote Happy For You. The third day we wrote What You're Doing. And then we were like, okay,
This works.
this is working. And everyone's got such different personalities, but the way that we just all allowed each other to be so ourselves was what kind of made it really special. And there was just like a beautiful team synergy in the room. And so then we're like, all right, I think maybe we should put some more days in and we should just keep writing. And it just blossomed from then on. So we spent good part of a year and a half together working on this album. Mainly written in London. We did a little bit in Malibu at Woodshed Studios. And that was because that studio reminded me of the studio in London, because it had like wooden beams and big windows. And I was like, okay, we can carry on the album here. And we did 2-3 days in Kevin's home studio in Los Angeles as well. And that was really the place that we just kind of, at least for me, like I called home. It saw me through so many seasons, and I grew so much and evolved so much in those rooms. I think of this writing process as really formative for me emotionally, I think.
You know, it's interesting. I wanted to ask you if there was a song that you wrote that kind of like unlocked the direction or sense of where this album was going. It sounds like it was really the people you were with who kind of like unlocked that for you.
Yeah, the people I was with unlocked that. It just, something just clicks. There's always like in every album process, there's one song which ends up being that eureka moment. I think because Illusion was the first song we wrote together, we were like, oh, we're onto something good. But I think the way that things progressed, you know, with Happy For You, I'd never written a song like that before. It felt so cathartic, so raw and honest, and I just loved what I was getting out of myself in that room, how safe I felt in that room to open up, and I loved that version of myself, and I loved the space that they provided for me. So I think that was really, the switch.
I think there are a lot of moments on this album that are going to sort of expose a different side of you to a lot of people. But if there's one like sort of thematic through line or sensibility that I felt in listening to it, it's that I was kind of reminded of this idea of like danceable music, pop music as fun and healing, that there's a reason dance music is so associated with like resilience and power, and I'm wondering if that maybe it's also the title Radical Optimism. I'm just like, we're floating, there's something very like sort of spiritual about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's all very intentional, the idea of having an optimistic flair throughout, there being a sense of euphoria, there being a depth to all the songs to make you feel good, a sense of community. I don't know, I always set out with the intention that, even though it's dance crying, it's euphoric, it's togetherness, it's something you can share with other people. It's something that I hope that regardless of what's going on will provide that piece of happiness and optimism. So, yeah, for sure. And dance music has such a long history of creating that environment, creating such a safe space. And I just want to embody that. I think, I don't know, dance music and it has just been, I don't know, a lifeline, I think, for so many people for such a long time, that I think we should embrace that side of it, the really joyful, optimistic, euphoric, happy side of it.
Yeah, and it's not like easy joy. There's tension on this album, or at least it feels that way to me. To get to that euphoria, there's this sort of feel, I don't know, I imagine, do you classify yourself as an optimistic person? Is it like a muscle you have to exercise?
I like to think of myself as an optimistic person. I think it's, I don't know, I never like to think that when things are bad that they're going to be bad for too long. If you're having the worst day ever, I always think about how am I going to feel in a week's time, like when all of this is over. And it's all about perspective and looking at things from a different angle. Definitely a muscle that needs to be exercised. Definitely something that over time, when you realize that after something bad happens, you'll always find a way to pick yourself back up again. It's never going to be the end. You're always going to find a way out of it. That's also, another form of exercise. You just have to remember that you did it once, so you can always do it again. And I think a lot of the songs show that sense of resilience and maturity throughout, and growing and growth, and all of that is the radical side of it. It's pushing yourself to be happy and to see things with an optimistic perspective, or sometimes I say to be like violently happy. You have to sometimes push yourself into that feeling. Yeah.
I hear that a lot on Maria, not only because it's my name, and I really do appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. But there's this like idea of almost like gratitude for an ex, and even in your current partner, maybe he's still distracted or whomever's still distracted by them.
Yeah.
But there's still this sense of like you've grown because of this other person, and that feels radical to me, to be like, oh wow, we're really
we're growing, we're seeing things from the other side. It's also just like Maria is not only like your partner's ex who's helped them get to where they are now, and you're like grateful because you get this, a person who's been kind of molded from their own personal experience where they've grown from something and they've learned from there so they can be better for you, but also you could be that, for someone else. With every experience you learn so much, and so I think that's why Maria's also, it's like so fun, but deceivingly fun, because you're almost like, I am really grateful to that person. Because one, I wouldn't be the person I am today, and they probably wouldn't be either, And it's this real sense of gratitude, but you have to go through it. You have to go through the bad times too to then be able to like see it from a different perspective.
Yeah, and this might be a terrible non sequitur, but this is also your first album since switching management publishing companies and buying back your own masters. And I wonder, does that new, I guess, like economic and creative autonomy, did that inform the album in any way?
I think just overall the person I am, like I've grown and I've changed so much from my first album that I think that without a doubt that will have an influence on my music and, you know, what I want to say and the way that I want to be perceived, and even the title Radical Optimism. It's like, you know, maybe in my mind it was like you kind of become accustomed and you're like, oh, things are going to be like this forever and it's perfect just the way it is. And then something comes and pulls the rug out from under your feet and you go, oh, this actually wasn't the way that I thought it was going to work out. But that's okay. You pick yourself back up and you do it. And that kind of sense of being adaptable and rolling with the punches is my own sense of radical optimism. And so that has taught me so much as well. So yeah, for sure. I think that's got a lot to do with it.
Yeah, you also have a lot of sort of extra musical pursuits. You're acting, it seems like, with more regularity.
Like little baby roles.
Yeah. And I love Service 95. I
think
it's a great resource. I wonder where that desire comes to explore other, I guess, creative mediums, if that kind of speaks to what you're interested in now. How does it inform your creativity?
Well, to be honest, what's interesting is when I was younger, I used to have a blog, and I used to love like sharing what I was like cooking or what I was making or what movie I watched or what, you know, just to kind of, and it was really just for my friends. And I guess Service 95, it's always been something that I've been passionate about, but now I have the resources and the means to be able to commission stories from journalists who can really tell these stories, who will do it way better than I will, that, you know, be able to tell stories from all around the world, not solely from a Western lens. And those are things that I've always been curious about, but now I'm able to do them in a way that I could have only ever dreamed of. And I don't know, it's funny because I enjoyed the social aspect of school more than I enjoyed like the learning aspect of school, but I love to learn and stay curious. And I think it's because I wanted to do it like on my own terms in some way, and this allows me to stay curious and learn and grow and discover new things, but in a way that I want to. I'm just so passionate about the world and different cultures and discovering more and traveling, and yeah, it's something that I love. So it's just another hobby of mine that I've somehow managed to turn into a job, which is just great. It's been a beautiful experience and time consuming and amazing all at once, even with the podcast and the book club. But I just find myself constantly consumed with something other than, you know, social media and my phone, which is another great thing, you know, for me, because my day job, which is my music career, which I love, but that also comes with so much online, you know, constantly being online. And I think for me, at least now, I'm searching for other things, and not doom scrolling on Twitter. At least this way I'm like learning something new about the world. So I love it. It gives me I don't know, a different purpose as well. I love having that kind of duality in my life.
Yeah, it feels like a foundation is in that curiosity that you're mentioning.
Yeah, and it's energizing.
Yes.
It's energizing.
And you do it with such courage. I remember the Tim Cook interview. I think a lot of us did. I was sort of like, wow, she could teach a journalism class. Really good.
No. That was scary and really exciting. But he was lovely, and I think we both put each other at ease. You never really know what to expect when you go in to interview someone, and I really I admire you, because it's a hard job, you know, and so much research and time goes into it, and it's something that I really, really respect and admire. So I feel lucky to get to learn a little bit about it and speak to these incredible people.
Of course. And speaking of scary things, Glastonbury,
Yeah.
your headlining.
That's a big scary thing.
I mean, I want to hear about it. How do you feel about it? But also, like, you know, as growing up in the UK, I imagine this is kind of the pinnacle, right?
This is the pinnacle. For me, Glastonbury has always been the biggest dream. It's been my barometer every time I go into the studio. When I write a song I love, it's like, how is this going to sound at Glastonbury? Is it going to work? So it's just always been on my dream board of something that I wanted to do. And I was very specific on my dream board. I said the Friday night, because I knew that I wanted to stay and party for the Friday after, Saturday and Sunday. So, you know, if you're manifesting out there, be specific, because it might happen. And it's just, I guess the biggest show of my career. So I've been planning it for a very long time, dreaming it up, thinking about it. We've started rehearsals. Everything's in lead up to that. And yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's going to be...
Okay, can I do one more question?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll
Thank
just
you
sit
very much.
right here.
Oh, okay.
It'll be a quick one. Thank you very
I'll
much.
just be
Appreciate it.
creeping behind you.
And I just I want to do it justice. I want to make it the most fun show ever, and it's going to be a one-time show, that one set. So, got to make it count.
Yeah,
And be present. I need to be present, so I don't just let it pass me by from all the nerves and excitement. I want to feel it every moment.
And this record feels so it's like, did you manifest at the correct time
Yeah.
for this album and its reference book and everything? To conclude, and I hope this is a bit of an easier one, a little less existential than some of the stuff we've been talking about, concept of joy, etc. Met Gala is also coming up.
Yeah.
What's your process for coming up with your outfit? Do you go to Versace and say, hey, let's collaborate?
Well, I think, once Anna decides what the theme is, it's kind of like unpicking that and seeing, it's Sleeping Beauty, Garden of Time. I guess that's either like diving into a designer's archive or speaking to them and getting them to pull from their own favorite show of theirs and something that, something that's a sleeping beauty, something that's been living in their mind for a long time, something that maybe they wanted to make and didn't, or, diving into their kind of garden of time. It can be so many things. I think there's going to be lots of different archive vintage looks on the carpet this year. There's going to be lots from, inspiration being drawn and from lots of different eras. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. But most of all, it's just fun, going in and hanging out with your friends and dressing up, and it's going to be a fun night. But yeah, I love kind of unpicking a theme and thinking about where it's going to take us.
Yeah, it's like having a prompt for creativity. Yeah. Who doesn't like that?
Exactly. It's going to be fun.
Well, Dua, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you. That's been lovely. Yeah, Maria.
My fave song, Maria, on the album. Just realizing that's your name.
I left the mic just there.
Oh, okay, great. I was going to say, if you need help with that, here, down in here then. Do you want me to do it?
Oh, yeah, it's I have a weird...
Thank you very much.
Strength issue, obviously.